They said a wedding night was meant to be the happiest moment of her life. But instead, Alicia Washington would face a punishment for sins she didn't even commit. Sins that belonged to her groom Damon. And by sunrise, nothing in their world would ever be the same. Stay with me because what you're about to hear will make you question love, loyalty, and the darkest side of revenge. Atlanta, Georgia. A city where dreams come alive and love stories bloom. But on one September evening in 2023, a celebration of love would become a nightmare of betrayal. Meet Alicia Washington, the bride. A dedicated nurse who spent her days saving lives, dreaming of building her own family. And Damon Mitchell, the groom. Successful, charming, but carrying secrets that would destroy everything. But three questions haunted everyone who knew their story. Who was really guilty that night? Why did Alicia pay the price for Damon's secrets? And what shocking truth was uncovered long after the wedding was over? Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Alicia Washington was the kind of woman who lit up every room she entered. At Grady Hospital, she wasn't just another nurse. She was hope walking through the corridors. Patients asked for her by name. Colleagues relied on her steady hands during the most critical moments. At New Hope Baptist Church, she led the youth ministry, teaching young girls to dream beyond their circumstances. In her private moments, Alicia filled journal after journal with dreams of marriage, children, and the family she'd always wanted. Damon Mitchell appeared to be everything Alicia had prayed for. Owner of 3 successful automotive repair shops across Atlanta, he drove luxury cars, wore designer suits, and had a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo. Their whirlwind romance lasted just 6 months, from their first coffee date at a Buckhead Starbucks to the moment he proposed on Stone Mountain with a 3-carat ring. Alicia's sister Keisha would later tell investigators that something felt rushed about the whole thing. Alicia had dated guys for years before bringing them around family. But with Damon it was like she was under some kind of spell. Yet Damon won over the Washington family with ease. He spoke their language, respect, family values, and a 5-year plan that included grandchildren. Any concerns were brushed aside by love's intoxicating glow. But Damon's best friend, Jerome Patterson, everyone called him Rome, saw cracks in the facade that others missed. Late one night at the auto shop, Rome warned his childhood friend that secrets don't stay buried forever. Damon insisted that marrying Alicia would make all his problems disappear, that she didn't need to know about his past. The signs were there. Missed calls from unknown numbers. Men in dark cars parked outside his businesses. Phone conversations that stopped abruptly when Alicia entered the room. But Alicia, lost in wedding preparations, attributed everything to work stress. She had no idea that Damon's past was racing toward their future like a freight train with no brakes. September 16, 2023. The day Alicia had dreamed of her entire life. 200 guests filled the historic Oakland Cemetery Chapel as she walked down the aisle in her grandmother's pearl necklace and a dress that cost 3 months of nursing salary. The reception at the Georgian Terrace Hotel was everything she'd imagined. Their first dance to Etta James, at last, brought tears to every eye in the ballroom. For 8 perfect hours love conquered all. By midnight the last guests had departed. The new Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell retreated to the penthouse bridal suite, a wedding gift from Damon's business partner. Alicia changed into the silk nightgown her bridesmaids had given her, while Damon poured champagne. She noticed her new husband had been tense all day, pacing nervously even during their magical moments. When she asked what could possibly be wrong now that they were finally married, he couldn't give her an answer. At 1:17 a.m., everything changed. 3 men in black masks burst through the door like shadows given form. They moved with military precision, clearly knowing exactly what they'd come for. The lead man's voice was cold as winter when he spoke. "Your sins found you, Mitchell. And she's gonna pay the price you should have paid months ago." Alicia screamed, trying to hide behind Damon, begging him to help her, to explain what these men wanted. Damon pleaded with them to take him instead, insisting she was innocent, that this was between them. But the masked man's response chilled the air. "Nobody connected to you is innocent." Hotel security cameras captured 3 figures leaving through the service entrance at 1:31 a.m. Between those 2 timestamps, 14 minutes, Alicia Washington Mitchell had vanished. And by the time the door opened again, Alicia was gone. If you're still with me right now, drop a comment saying, "I'm still here." Let's see who's locked into this story. At 3:45 a.m., Damon called 911. When Atlanta police arrived at the Georgian Terrace, they found a man in pieces, still wearing his wedding tuxedo, tears streaming down his face. Detective Maya Brooks, a seasoned investigator who'd seen every kind of crime in her 20 years on the force, listened as Damon described 3 masked men who'd taken his wife, claiming something about sins that he insisted he didn't understand. By dawn, the story had exploded across social media. Bride kidnapped on wedding night dominated every headline. The case that would consume Atlanta for months had begun. But as Detective Brooks peeled back the layers of Damon Mitchell's life, a different picture emerged. The successful businessman had been living a lie that was about to catch up with everyone around him. Bank records revealed that Damon's businesses were failing. He owed gambling debts to dangerous people. Worse, he'd been involved in a money laundering scheme that had cost his criminal partners over $200,000. A former business associate, Marcus Thompson, would later tell authorities that Damon thought he was smarter than everyone else. He skimmed money, made promises he couldn't keep. When you cross certain people in this city, there are consequences. Anonymous tips flooded in. Someone claimed they'd seen Alicia at a motel outside Macon. Another caller insisted she'd been spotted at the Atlanta airport. Each lead crumbled under investigation. Then another woman came forward, Vanessa Powell, who claimed Damon had promised to marry her, that he'd said he was just waiting for the right time to tell his family about their relationship. She'd found out about his wedding the same way everyone else did, on Instagram. The community that had celebrated their love story began questioning everything. Was Damon a victim of his own past mistakes? Or was he the architect of his wife's disappearance? During one particularly intense interrogation, Detective Brooks confronted Damon with a simple question. "There's something you haven't told us, isn't there?" His expression shifted, caught between truth and lies. 6 months after Alicia's disappearance, the investigation had uncovered a web of lies that stretched back 3 years. The masked men weren't random criminals. They were enforcers for a money laundering operation that Damon had betrayed. Federal agents discovered that Damon's repair shops were fronts for washing dirty money through fake invoices and phantom customers. When he got greedy and skimmed $200,000, he'd signed his own death warrant. In court, prosecutors painted a devastating picture. The defendant knew his criminal associates were closing in. He knew they would come for him. But he married Alicia Washington anyway, making her a target for his enemies. Rome, Damon's childhood friend, testified that Damon had told him marrying Alicia would make him look stable, respectable. Maybe his criminal partners would back off if he appeared to be settling down. He'd used that girl as a human shield. The truth was devastating. The men who took Alicia weren't interested in Damon anymore. They'd found a more effective punishment, making him live with the consequences of his choices by taking away the one thing he claimed to love. Alicia's mother, Alicia Washington, broke down in court, explaining how her daughter saved lives every single day and didn't deserve to become collateral damage for some man's criminal activities. When Damon finally took the stand, he admitted the truth that everyone had suspected. "They came for me. But they took her because of what I did. Every choice I made put her in danger, and I was too selfish to walk away." The man who had promised to love and protect Alicia had instead led 3 armed criminals straight to her door. The woman who'd saved countless lives had become a casualty of greed and betrayal. 2 years after the trial ended with Damon's conviction, everyone assumed the story was over. The case files were closed. The media had moved on. But then, on a Tuesday morning in October 2025, everything changed again. An unmarked envelope arrived at Alicia Washington's home. Inside was a single photograph and a brief note. "She's alive. Don't trust anyone." The photograph showed a woman in Jacksonville, Florida, buying groceries. The resemblance to Alicia was uncanny. Same height, same build, same way of tucking hair behind her left ear when concentrating. The Washington family hired private investigator Carmen Rodriguez to look into it. What she found raised more questions than answers. Bank records showed someone using Alicia's social security number had applied for a job at a Florida hospital 6 months earlier. Security footage from 3 different locations showed the same woman. Someone who moved like Alicia, gestured like Alicia, even drove the same way. But when Carmen tried to approach her, the woman vanished. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Prison phone records revealed that Damon had been making calls to a number in Jacksonville, the same area where Alicia had been spotted. Criminal psychology expert Dr. Kenneth Williams suggested they might be looking at an elaborate staged disappearance. Someone willing to fake their own kidnapping to escape a situation, then allow their spouse to take the fall for crimes they actually committed together. What if the woman everyone thought they knew, the perfect nurse, the devoted daughter, the innocent bride, had secrets of her own? What if Alicia Washington had discovered Damon's criminal activities months before the wedding and decided to use them to her advantage? What if she was tired of being the perfect woman everyone expected her to be? The questions multiply like shadows at sunset. Did three criminals really take an innocent bride? Or did Alicia Washington orchestrate the most elaborate disappearance in Atlanta history, leaving behind a man who truly believed he was protecting her? Patricia Washington still hopes for answers, telling anyone who'll listen that she just wants to know if her daughter is alive. If she's out there somewhere, safe and happy, that's all that matters. But if she planned this whole thing, she needs to understand why. This wasn't just about love gone wrong. This was about how one person's sins can shatter lives far beyond their own. But the question remains, was Alicia truly gone, or was her silence the final act of punishment? So what do you think happened that night at the Georgian Terrace Hotel? Do you think Alicia survived? Was she an innocent victim of her husband's criminal past, or was she the mastermind behind her own disappearance? Comment your theory below. I'm reading every single one. Did three masked men really take an innocent bride, or did Alicia Washington plan the perfect escape from a life that was suffocating her? And if you enjoyed this story, wait until you watch the next video. Hit that subscribe button for more stories where truth is stranger than fiction. Because sometimes, the person you think you know best is the one keeping the biggest secrets of all.